Hey, it's Mr. J here to start your day the right way, and today I'm going to go over a little art secret that I feel like a lot of artists gloss over and they know about, but they don't really use as effectively as I believe they should. So to start this off, I'm going to split the screen into two sides. The first side is going to be how I believe most artists go about making their pieces of art, while the second side is going to be the method that I utilize and how I feel like it's a little bit easier to bear with. Now, as I'm going through this, obviously I'm rushing it a little bit because of the time constraints that YouTube has. The algorithm gotta please the gods, right? So my lines are going to be sloppy, but they do get cleaned up as time progresses with this. So the thing that I see a lot of artists do is immediately they start off with the horizontal line trope. I'm sure everyone who has picked up any type of anime book or any type of facial sketch, anything, has seen this as a model. And then from there, after they establish these points, they then erase the little guidelines that they created for the skull and begin to draw their eyes as a centerpiece of everything. Now, the issue that I see with drawing the eyes as the centerpiece is that there comes a time of, dare I say, can't draw the other eye syndrome. Usually this is based on your handedness. If you're right-handed, you usually draw the right eye first. If you're left-handed, you usually draw the left eye first. But usually the problem comes in with drawing the other eye, no matter what. And the reasoning is because they aren't really basing anything off of symmetry. They're basing everything based on sort of playing a guessing game within that little square. And to demonstrate that point, I moved it around everywhere in that square to kind of show you where everything is supposed to be placed. And I like the position of where I placed it, but as you see, it's nowhere near where the horizontal lines have been placed in for me to sketch the face. So now as I begin to draw the other eye, the whole point of this is now people try to mimic what they did on the right side. But what this leads to is they're not, again, basing this off of symmetry. They're basing this off of copying the steps that they utilized on the side that they've already drawn. And now they have to retrace their steps in order to get the other eye to look correctly. And 9 times out of 10, it just doesn't come out the proper way. This leads to the can't draw the other eye syndrome. This leads to the side swipe bangs. This leads to all the other things to avoid drawing the eye because they based everything on how the eye is made instead. So the question becomes, well, how do you fix this issue? And with that, I've used this method a little bit more. And I feel like this fits a little bit more into the proportional aspect of how facial drawing works. So as you see, I'm cleaning up the other side of the face just like I did to the left side so that it's a little bit more manageable and there's nothing to say, oh, well, you drew this face this way versus drawing the face the other way. Made sure everything was pretty much symmetrically made. So the first thing that I do when I do my drawings is I start off with the nose. The nose, I feel like, is the most symmetrical piece of the face that you can make. And I feel like if you can start off with the nose and get that out of the way, everything on the face lines up perfectly with the nose. So now that I'm continually cleaning up there, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start focusing on the eyes and cleaning up those areas to get ready for that. Because what I began to realize is that everything on the face is symmetrical. Everything lines up perfectly with one another. And as a proof to this, the inside of the nose, you can take this and trace it on your own face if you would like to, or you can use celebrities, whoever you would like to reference this to. The inside of the nose, the bump before you get to your actual nostrils, lines up with the corners of your eyes. So, when using that information, you can essentially map everything else that you need to draw in order to make that pattern occur. And as proof to this method, I start drawing in the eye. I made it a little bit too high, and I noticed that a little bit later on in this, but you can essentially map this out perfectly this way. Because since you've already drawn the nose, you don't have to worry about drawing the left eye or copying the steps for the right eye or anything like that, because you're not basing this off of the experiences of the other eye. You're basing this off of the experiences of the face that you've already created. So now the next step of this is, now that you figured out where the eyes lay, well, where do the lips lay? And with that, you can take the center of your eye, usually 9 times out of 10, the pupils, the centers, the irises line up like if you are just default staring straight forward with the corners of your mouth. And you can take those little lines or imaginary points, and you can use that to say that's where the corners of the lips lay. And now that you have the lips lines, now what happens in the center? How do you make sure that little flap of skin is there where it's supposed to? And with that, the reason why that flap of skin exists is because it's pulled in from your nose, which is that inside bridge that creates the nostrils that you have. So now that you've established that shape, you can manage everything else that you need off of that one focal point of the nose. Now, as you see here, I'm just, casually making everything fit proportionally so that it actually fits the proportions. But I guarantee you, without making those lines, I probably wouldn't have been able to move it to make it look as symmetrical as it is. Because I based everything off of the center of the face rather than basing it off of the eyes, I could move everything around as I see fit as long as it made proportional sense with the nose. And then from here, I'm just drawing extra features to make it so that you can see that everything is connected off of the nose. I drew the eyebrows as a way to say the nose bridge itself, the bridge just extends into the brow bone. So you can use the top of the nose and just pull it all the way across to the side of the face to draw where the eyebrows are. Now this is more of me humble flexing, just showing off that even the ears are centered off of these places, because the bottom of the ear, like the actual connection to your skin, not the earlobe itself. The bottom of the ear connects to the bottom of the nose, and the top of the ear, again, the actual connection, not the actual top of skin on the ear, connects to the corners of the eyes. So you can kind of make another map based around those center points in proportions. So when it's all said and done, once you clean up the lines and once you clean up the face, it starts to look like this. Now, as I continue with this, I realize that, it might not fit to everyone's style, but I can prove that most other styles work pretty well with this method. So right now I'm kind of copying a style that's a little bit more angular of someone that I follow on Instagram and his kind of art style. It's not a direct ripoff of what he does, by no means, but I think it gets the job done to say, you can pretty much put any style towards these proportions and it will look right. Now I purposefully did this on a 3/4 angle to show you that you really don't even need the nostril as a guide point for a 3/4 view, because as long as it's on the inside corner of the nose bridge itself, it'll be fine. Which is why I extended the nose bridge as far as I did to continue drawing the eye the way it is. And this is me showing proof towards my method and how everything is lined up, even though the eyes are smaller than what they should be and the mouth is way bigger than what it should be. Regardless, everything still lines up perfectly, and that's what makes these proportions look correct, despite how vastly different they are. So now I'm going into the chibi character that I was referencing earlier. And for this one, since I did a full frontal view for the first character, I did a 3/4 view for the second character, I thought I might as well do a full-on profile view for the chibi. This was difficult because I don't really draw chibi like that, but I feel like it worked out perfectly in the way it's supposed to. So here I am just taking the advice, drawing the nose first, and then drawing the corners of the eye. Now this guideline is just as a little quick tip for a lot of people who are trying to do like profile views. With this, pretty much take the same guidelines that you draw for a face on the side, and rather than drawing a nose where the two like the circle and the line and the jawline meet, instead you just draw an ear there. And that's more or less what the side of the face is. And I probably will explain that in another video to kind of give a little bit more detail. But this video is more about the proportions, so I get back into that and I just start working that way. So again, I line up the ear with the bottom of the nose, and I line up the top of the ear with the top of the eye, and start making the little chibi character. I think it turns into Lifeline at the end of this from Apex, so I mean, any of my Apex gamers out there, shoutouts to you. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get into the mouth for this one. I tried to draw it, but it turned out really awkward because I think I made the actual like space where the face is supposed to be a little bit too small. So instead, I just decided to put the mask on her and, you know, really go for like the whole Lifeline vibe. You see, even here, I'm trying to like fix it and see if I can maybe make it work out some way, and it starts to work, but I just didn't like the direction that it was going, so I just got rid of it completely. But again, I did that as a reference to say that you could do it if you wanted to push it that way. My artistic liberty just did not like the direction that that was going, so I started to, you know, put the mask on her. I also, for some reason, took this time to clean up Jafar Jaskar, and I don't know why. It just kind of felt incomplete the way I did it, so I wanted to add a little bit more detail into him before I started to explain the next piece. Hey, so yeah, in the same video that I had the sketch of Nappa inspired by Color Reaper, I also had a chibi drawing in that, showcasing the exact same process. So this is me in post-production, just giving you guys an example of how the lips would work in a chibi type of situation, since I forgot to do it in the example that I posted in here. And I think the reference for the ponytails was I was trying to draw a Poppy from League of Legends. I guess I got that inspiration because I thought the left guy was Draven who I now realize was supposed to be Nappa, and I just haven't watched DBZ in forever. So yeah. So when I gave examples on the left face, I realized I gave reasons as to why people react to it a certain way, but I never explained why it just doesn't look right on paper. And I didn't know the best way to explain this other than to break it down into squares. The way that this version of teaching the face is brought into conception is it's based on squares. So I put the nose in more of like a pentagon type of shape, but the same idea still stands. And then I blocked out this corner of the face that you see here, because this area that I'm circling isn't really part of the face. It's more of the side of the face that you can kind of see, you know? Like it's past the corner of the eyes, that piece of space between the corner of the eye and the ear that you can really see. So it leads up to this only area that you really can draw the eye, being this red square that I just outlined here. And on top of that, not only do you have to draw this red square, but you also have to figure out the center of that square. And then you have to figure out and mimic that on the entire opposite side of doing this. But as you eventually see, I'm going to draw the no-no zone. Then I'm going to circle that to show you that that's the zone that you can't really draw in. But now I'm going to highlight the red side that's in that and show you that that's the area that you have to draw on the left side with this. Now right now it doesn't look bad, but once I remove the layers, you can clearly see the proportions of this is very off, because the left side doesn't even have the right size as the right side that I originally started off with. Not only that, but the centers of this are now completely skewed. I haven't even drawn the centers for this yet, and I'm going to try to clean it up so that it can be seen that way. But the centers are completely off, to say the least. And to highlight this even more, I changed colors, I put onto blue so you can see where the centers are. There's the center for the right eye, and there will be the center for the left eye. And now again, I'm going to remove the layer, and you're going to see that that's how your pupils would be laying if you use the reference of how traditional art schools teach. And that's where we get the can't draw the other eye syndrome from. So now all of this is doing is trying to make it so that you can fix this eye and turn it in a certain way and make it look proportional to the right eye so that it fits properly. And then you might angle it a little bit so that it looks better and so that it looks like it's actually part of where it's supposed to be. So you spend all of that time to fix the eyes and get the proportions and the dots correctly. Now they look symmetrical and now they look aligned. But now, here's the problem. They don't fit within the criteria of the face because your pupils are now in the no-no zone. So even though it now looks functionally correct, in reference to the rest of the face, it looks completely off. And it looks skewed, off-center, and no matter how much you try to fix it, eventually it just leads up to the fact that your boxes that you put for your eyes didn't fit the proportions of what you're actually supposed to be using for that area. Hey, it's Pros Production J again, just giving a little bit more clarity as to where everything is. In the last one it was a little bit messy, so I tried to clarify a little bit more of what the zones and stuff look like. So the best advice that I would love to give to anyone who has troubles with drawing eyes or drawing the other side of the face in general isn't to worry about the fact that you can't draw eyes. You definitely have the skills to draw eyes. The issue, I believe, comes from centering and proportions and things like that. And I believe if you use this method, you will see fewer errors in how you draw your eyes and how you make your references. So, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video if you made it this far. Please leave a like and comment if you have any other methods or any other ideas you would like to add. If you dislike the video, please give me a dislike and give me some constructive criticism as to what I can improve and how my method can move forward. Well, with all that said, thank you so much for watching. Have fun out there, be safe, and above all else, keep smiling.